year is 1996. I'm in Virginia Beach in high school. Actually, hold on. The year is 1996. I want you to picture this. So the year is 1996. I'm walking down the hallway in Virginia. Well, hold on. I wouldn't be wearing this shirt, so hold on. 1996. I'm a little geeky kid. 1996, I'm walking the hallways in Virginia. Well, that's not right, too. Hold on 1 sec. All right. Now we're about right. I'm walking down the hallway, 1996, and I hear a teacher yell, "Fanzo!" Now, this was normal in high school, as I wasn't a great student, and I spent a lot of time in the hallway, and he said, "Fanzo, what's that in your pocket?" And I was like, "What are you talking about? What's in my pocket?" "There's nothing in my pocket." And he's like, "Come here." And I walked over to the security guard, and the security guard looked at me, and he said, "Is that a pager?" And I was like, "It is, it's a pager." He's like, "Drug dealer. Only drug dealers have pagers. Why do you have a pager?" And I'm like, "My family owns a frozen yogurt shop, and my mom wants to make sure that she can message me if I need to go into the yogurt shop or if I need to go home on the school bus." I'm like, "That's a really good story. Come with me." And I ended up going down to the principal's office, ended up getting suspended for 3 days from school because they couldn't believe that we'd be walking around with a piece of technology on our person being connected to people that aren't in our same space. The idea that we'd be using something as crazy as a pager. Now, for those that are under the age of 35, we define these things called payphones. Just Google it later on, you'll see what a payphone is and why when we got a message on this, then it was kind of like, "Where's Waldo?" We had to go find a payphone, then we had to find a quarter, and then things got really complicated when they moved it to 35 cents, right? We were like, who has dimes that are laying around for me to call somebody back, right? And we all had like the little codes that came on there. But that was 1996, and I was a freshman in high school, and that's actually a true story. I got suspended for wearing a pager in school because of the assumption that goes on. We fast forward to 2021, and the idea of us walking through our house with our phone in our pocket because we are going to be checking social media or getting a text message, or even our phone on our wrist with our Apple device is just normal. We've come so far in so little time. If I would have told you 15 years ago that to sign an official document, I'm going to send you something via the computer, you're going to click 2 buttons and send it back to me and it's official. You're going to be like, "No, there's a thing called a fax machine." Gen Z, again, Google fax machine, figure that one out. But this idea of transformation and change is happening, and it's happening all around us. Now, you hear a lot of talks when we talk about change, we talk about technology. They talk about the rate of change or the speed of change. Everything is changing so fast. Really, what is happening is that we are having more choices to change, more opportunity to expand our knowledge. As Damien mentioned, other than the fact that I'm short, when he mentioned, I was born and raised in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and I'm, of course, loud and proud from Pittsburgh, and most of my family in Pittsburgh had never left the country before. And I remember my very first trip to Iraq, when I came home from Iraq, and I was talking about how much I loved the Middle East, and I've now been over the Middle East, well over 40 times. And I remember explaining to them this idea of how we're all connected, and it doesn't matter where you live, it doesn't matter what your background is, it doesn't matter what your race or your religion or your sexual orientation, we have the ability to connect with people. Now, I want you to picture this. It was 2020, 2009, let's say it's 2019. I was in this beautiful venue, actually right here on this stage. And I was telling everybody on this stage that we have to start telling our story online. That we have to embrace the power of video. That we need to do something as simple as pressing the damn button. Anybody remember that talk? How many of you during the pandemic were like, I should have listened to that guy? We learned a lot last year in the sense of what is technology doing for us? How does technology integrate into our lives? I am a technology evangelist. That was actually the last job title I had when I was working for a cloud startup out of Phoenix, Arizona. And for most of the time when I would go into these companies as a technology evangelist, they would expect me to add technology to their stack, include a new piece of software, add new things for their entire repertoire. And when I would leave, they would say, Brian, you shouldn't call yourself a technology evangelist. You should call yourself a change evangelist. And I was like, I kind of like that. It kind of sounds kind of cool. But for me, the reason was because I've never believed that we should be using technology for technology's sake. I've never believed that technology will replace the human condition. I mean, do you see how excited Jessica Phillips was that humans are here? I mean, she does have an alien as a mascot, right? So we have, the humans are here is a good piece. But when we think about this and we think about change and we think about technology, I think one of the big lessons from last year is there are a lot of things that we can explore and reinvent and relook at that maybe we've never looked at before. I remember helping a local brewery in Northern Virginia where I live. And the local brewery, of course, had some social media. They had a website. But of course, as the things shut down, as no one was traveling, as our little small town in Warrenton, Virginia, no longer had foot traffic, they were struggling to figure out, how do I sustain my business? How do I start making people understand what's going on? And I will say, they had a kind of a genius idea. They said, well, we're still going to make beer. We're still brewing. Why don't we just start putting our brewing recipe, our behind the scenes on our Facebook account, and maybe we can help some local home brewers not go stir crazy in their house. And they started doing this over and over again. And all of a sudden it got put into one Facebook group and a second Facebook group. And all of a sudden people started asking them, why can we not buy your beer? What is going on? And they were like, well, we really don't right now have a delivery service to make that happen. And Virginia ABC laws with alcohol. And eventually, a couple months later, come the summer last year, there are people showing up at their door saying, how can I help your small business stay afloat? One of them happened to be the landlord of the business about a block above us, and it ended up having them move their brewery into their actual space. And when I sat down, I got to meet this great team, and I asked them, I was like, why did you actually reach out to them, help them move in? And they were like, because I like them. I like them, and they showed up in my Facebook group, in my Facebook feed, not marketing, not selling, not even asking for help. They just simply told their story. They put themselves out there. And so when we think about change, we think about technology, or even we think about these amazing lessons that we learned in 2020, leading us into 2021, the thing we have to start asking ourselves is really the same questions we've already answered years ago. Let me say that again. We need to start asking ourselves the same questions we asked years ago, but we need to start answering them with a 2021 mindset. Asking those same questions. Why are my employees coming to the office? What is the value proposition for my employees wanting to work for me when they realize they can do some of these things at home? We have to start looking at every one of these questions. What is the technology we're using? Just because everyone can have a laptop doesn't mean their laptop is powerful enough or the right quality for you to actually deliver on your message. We've heard it for years, right? Everyone sells. Everyone markets. We know that people are great, right? Great companies aren't great because they have great products and services, although Shirley's popcorn is delicious. I mean, I told Jessica, I kind of was just coming for the popcorn. I just put that out there. But it's really about those great people doing great things. And there's a hard lesson I think we've been learning these last couple of years. And my dad was a peanut brittle salesman. He owned a peanut brittle company. He was the founder and investor in one of them out of Virginia Beach. And my dad always instilled a bunch of core principles to me. And they still work today in this technology-driven world. And one of them was, your hand and your word is bond, and that that business is based on trust. And business is often done on the golf course. But one of the things my dad always instilled was, son, keep your head down and let your work do the talking for you. Now, unfortunately, that's the part where my dad is now wrong. If you are waiting to let your work do the talking for you in 2021, you will be out of business before you know it. Unfortunately, today, right now, there are people selling unicorns and rainbows and BS on every social channel with every Google search that you want. If we are not telling our story, using the technology and the digital devices at our disposal to put ourselves out there, we are going to get drowned out by those fakers, those companies that don't have the actual experience that you have. And so we have to switch our mindset and say, how does this technology enable us to do great things? Now, how many people here have heard cryptocurrency being thrown around everywhere? Yes. We've heard about crypto, Bitcoin, Ethereum. If you would have asked me 6 months ago, I would have said, yeah, I've heard of it. I, unfortunately, in 2013, won a poker game and someone sent me 2 Bitcoin. I took a picture of like the little email and then I hit delete and I was like, what am I gonna do with Bitcoin? Like that's like the weirdest thing ever, like digital currency. It's worth $66,000 now, and I have no idea. I have no keys to it. Those 2 Bitcoin are now into the ether. They disappeared. Because at the time, I think it was 41 cents is what they told me they were worth. But we're moving into a new era. We're moving into a new space where we are moving to this idea of decentralization, of allowing technology and transparency to come together. And I believe this is the magic. I believe transparency is going to be the answer to so many of our problems across our small businesses, across our communities, and how we connect with people. Because if you look at here, why are we all here in this room? And it comes down to that principle that I mentioned. I agree with a lot of things my dad said, and my dad has always instilled in me that said, no matter what you do online, no matter what social media app, TikTok, Snapchat, Clubhouse, for those that are on that, no matter what social media network you're using online, nothing will replace a handshake or a fist bump or air hugs or whatever, masked, high-fiving we're doing at the moment. Nothing will replace that. Nothing we do online will replace that. But in this digital world now, for us to have those handshakes, for us to stand out, it's now up to us to give people access to who we are. It's now up to us to go to where our communities are and have these conversations. And one of the things that's exciting about this cryptocurrency, blockchain, digital currency conversation is it is about removing some of the barriers to entry. It's about removing some of these limitations. It's about giving us the power to control what data and information we share. The idea today that we've all known this for a long while, that if you are using an app or a technology or social media platform for free, you are paying for it with your data, right? That's how we are paying for the use of this technology. Now, for the long while, those platforms have been leveraging that without very much inhibition, right? They've been selling our data in some cases. They've been having their data hacked. They've been using that data to make billions of dollars, while the entire time, our data is what made things work. As we move into the future, as we move into this idea of what blockchain and artificial intelligence and augmented reality, virtual reality, even into the metaverse, which is where is an even more exciting space, the thing that we have to start thinking about is we as individuals, our customers, our employees, have the power. We have more access to information and data than ever before. I was diagnosed ADHD at 31, and for the last 4 years, I actually upload my Apple Watch data to my doctor every month because he asked me to do a sleep journal. And anyone that knows me, journaling would be just not in my repertoire. Consistency, not my superpower. And I was like, you know what? I can just give you this data. It tells you how much I sleep, my REM sleep, even tells you how many steps I've taken. And all of a sudden, I'm starting to have this information to where my doctor is able to actually prescribe and medicate me on what is best for me. To the point where he was like, wow, it's kind of cool that you come armed with your data and information so that I can do my job best. That's what all of your customers want. That's what we need to start thinking about, is how can we be armed with the data to understand our customers, understand where they are, what they're doing right now. And I will tell you, most of the time when someone hears a futurist or someone talking about the future of technology, they're like, oh man, they're gonna talk about all these things that are way out. I believe a big lesson last year was also learned in that we cannot forget those that are paying our bills right now. That if we need to go deeper and understand our customers at the core, more so than getting more and more and more. We need to really buckle down and understand that. But at the same time, we also have to think about this idea, where does this all go? How do we connect a lot of these dots? And so what I want us to think about in this futurist mindset, in this idea of connecting some of these dots, is not what is technology going to replace? What jobs is it going to replace? But if I integrate the right technology at the right time, what are the amazing things we as humans are going to be able to do? If we stop being forced to do some of the tasks or some of the things, or we've been asking for data, then we got all this data, we said we have big data problem. Well, now we focus on getting the right data, understanding our customers at their core, connecting with them, caring for them. There is magic in that. When I flew here from DC, because I'm a Delta loyalist, and I had to fly to Detroit, to Columbus, right? So I waved as I flew over, and then I came back. And when I landed in Detroit, I had a little bit late for my flight. I had a 24-minute layover, and for those that are on my Instagram story, you saw this. And I go to get off the plane, and someone yells, "Mr. Fanzo, Mr. Fanzo," and the lady had a sign, and she's like, "I got a Porsche downstairs that's gonna drive you over to your gate across the tarmac." I was like, "For real?" Walked down the stairs, got inside a Porsche driven by a Delta representative, and she drove me across the tarmac over to my gate. I walked up to my gate and got into my plane. Now, I've been a Delta fan since 2004. When I started traveling, I've now been to over 2 million miles. I've been to 76 countries. And I've been loyal to Delta because they've done a lot of amazing things. They also have things like the fingerprint reader when I go to board a plane. I don't have to have a wallet. Actually, I don't have a wallet. I lost it. True story. 2 months ago. I've been using digital wallet for 2 straight months. But the idea was like, you can do a fingerprint scanner. I don't have to bring out an ID. We don't have to kill trees with paper. And I've loved Delta because they've always understood to push the limits with technology, Wi-Fi on airplanes. But when it comes down to it, they are a people company taking care of people. And they made me feel good yesterday. And not only that, they didn't realize that it was going to be blasted all over my social media. It's going to be shared on stages around the world. Or maybe they did, and that's, kudos to them. But what we have to start thinking about is not a balance. And this is where I want us to kind of wrap this, is we cannot find a balance between technology and what we do today. Because finding a balance is a constant juggle. It's a constant uneven platform. What we need to start thinking about rather than a balance is in harmony. How do we find harmony between technology and humanity? How do we allow the great people in our company, the great people that come to our business, to do what they do great and leverage technology to scale it, to make things even more exciting? I want you to picture 2022, right here on this stage. As long as Jessica has Shirley's popcorn, I'll be here. 2022, when we come back in this room, we have to start thinking about where does this technology fit? And when I think about everyone in this room, I was excited to come back. I've been to this event every year, and it's been, for me, it's part of seeing family and friends and small businesses in a small town that, growing up in Pittsburgh, my dad told me 2 things, like Philadelphia is really in New Jersey. He always wanted to make that clear. And he's like, nothing ever good came out of Cleveland. I was born and raised in Pittsburgh. But for me, it is about the people. It is about the technology. It is about finding that harmony. So I challenge you, when we start thinking about next year, 2022, we start thinking about 2023, we start thinking, you hear things like artificial intelligence, blockchain, augmented reality, virtual reality. I spent 3 hours getting myself scanned for a hologram that I'm going to be using very soon in my presentations. We're living in a cool time. But I'm asking us to not think about what more tasks am I going to do? How much more work am I going to have to take on? Rather, how can I find a way to integrate this and find that harmony where technology empowers us to do great things? It understands the importance of our people doing things. And I will tell you this, the magic is not in creating content in real time. The magic is not in leveraging all of these tools. The magic is simply in finding and understanding the right time. Automation is not bad. People that often schedule automation are just bad at doing it, right? That's usually why you see a bot or automated email come out wrong. It's not the automation that was problem. Great automation ends up understanding that it's not about the sender, it's about the customer. And so what I want us to think about is that simple idea. That how do we move the conversation? How do we move our focus to leverage technology with the harmony of humanity to work with our customers at the right time. Next year, 2022, on this stage, let's understand. I want to hear stories from people that are saying, I found out the right time. I understand what technology to get rid of. I understand what role my employees are playing, and I'm focusing now not on real time, not on being everywhere, not on every technology, rather being the right time with the right people doing great things. My name is Brian Fanzo. Thank you guys very much.